So our next panel, welcome Lenny. We're going to bring up Adenike, Carmon, and Nelly.
You have to trust me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dig into this very quickly. First and foremost, welcome, and so glad to see all of you again. This is a very interesting topic, and I have to say that I'm actually very surprised because I didn't realize that there should be any differences in terms of whether you're dealing with a male buyer or a female buyer. It should obviously be the same. That's just my take on it. But, you know, somehow or another, you know, people have unfortunately broken rules in terms of what's right and what's wrong, and somehow or another, maybe shortchanged. And I am disgusted by that. Let me just make a statement. One thing I would tell you also is that for those who are in the home buying industry, it would be a sad and painful mistake to not recognize the women and the potential and everything that women are doing, especially when you use and pay attention to some of the statistics that are growing each and every day. A couple of things that I wanted to share with you that you may not or may be aware of. Today, about 36% of the 126 million households in the United States are headed by women. That's a fact. That is a fact. And one other statistic, there are 114% more women-owned businesses in the nation today than there were 20 years ago. Again. So if you think for a moment, there aren't women out there who are qualified potential home buyers, you just crawled out from underneath a rock somewhere. You don't get it. You're not paying attention. So anyway, I'm excited and glad to be leading this panel today. I am just the person behind the podium. This is all the intelligence you need right over here. So I'm going to try to bring out some of that intelligence. I'm sure it won't be difficult because you guys just ooze with that stuff. It comes natural. So first and foremost, I'd like for each of you to anyway, I'd like you to take a moment and introduce yourselves and maybe tell a little bit about what you do in your professional life. We'll start with you.
So, I'm Nelly Mitford. I'm a broker, real estate broker in Texas. I do commercial real estate. I am the founder and CEO of FP Global Real Estate. Investing in commercial real estate. Mostly commercial real estate here in the U.S., but we also are certified. I have a certification for international properties. So we do work closely with different countries. I have properties that we currently have in Italy, Brazil, We closed different development in Mexico. I'll be in Mexico in August. So been very involved in the industry for over 8 years with the Houston Association of Realtors for an international advisory group. In 2015, I was asked by the board if I would like to take the leadership for the international board. I did in 2016 was the vice chair. 2017 I was the chair. I'm the immediate chair for international board. And what we do literally is we work with the city of Houston. I'm very involved in governmental issues, political affairs. We work with the consulates, embassies, and we try to bring real estate to a different level, not only the commercial side, but also the residential side. Very quickly before that, my other life, so I used to, how I got into real estate was by project management. So I used to do consulting work for companies like McNeill Bank of New York. I did consulting work for the real estate division for disaster recovery. So kind of been in the industry for some time.
Well, great. Thank you, Nelly. So glad you're here. And Nelly is, by the way, she can handle herself on the dance floor. For those of you that missed it last night, I'm here to testify. Okay? All right. So Carmon.
Hi, Lenny. Good afternoon. My name is Carmon Chong. I am a 25-year veteran in the residential, in the real estate and mortgage lending, but just recently, about 4 years ago, I added the financial services industry because I feel that it was very important for us to not just build legacy or wealth through real estate, but also to help it protect it. That was a subject that about 4 years ago was presented and educated about, and felt that there's a huge gap. That here we are, for those of you who are real estate practitioners, you need to also help your clients to know how to protect that wealth that you're helping them build. So I got into the financial services, but you know, the way you see me today, I'm Chinese, but I was born in Nicaragua. So one of the Asian myths is that don't judge us by looking at our face, and you know, and don't think that all of us Asian and Chinese. So, my background, I immigrated here from Nicaragua since I was the age of 16. And basically it was because of a civil war that was happening, came here with my older brother. So one of the families, and I was talking to Brandy, one of the panelists, one of the families, friends of my parents, took us in. And I felt that one of the most important things for me was the security of owning a home. And I think that at the early age of 16, I felt that, and somehow it planned out all the way to what am I today. So my other thing is, when I was, how I got into this business of real estate, being a broker, owner, managing lots of agents, babysitting them basically. Not really managing, but babysitting. It was because I wanted to give and educate and share all these opportunities to really educate the real estate agents to do a little bit more than just selling a home or selling a house. It was selling a home. So in 2007 or 2008, I joined an organization by the name of ARIA, which is the Asian Real Estate Association of America. I was just a member. I went to one of the conventions that they had. I wanted to educate myself, find out what's going on. And little by little, in 2011, I became the founding president for ARIA for San Francisco Peninsula. Then I wanted to do some more. I became in 2015 ARIA National Chairwoman. We have Vicky Silvano, who is local. She was our national chairwoman for 2016. We have Morel here, who is the chapter president for Chicago. ARIA is actually an organization that has over 17,000 members, and that will promote sustainable homeownership with the AAPI community. The thing about it is that ARIA has given me not just a platform to connect, to educate, or to empower myself, but it was more of how you can become better. So I'm always like looking into that, and that's how I got into loving this home ownership so much. So today I wear different hats, but today I'm just gonna represent ARIA. But lately, last year, they, it's not that I don't love to work or have free time, but last year they named me the CEO for ARIA Global, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that, ARIA Global, which is how you can meet capital with business opportunities for the members and for the women. And let me tell you, ARIA membership has 51% or 51% of the members of ARIA are women. What does that tell you?
It means I go to a lot of ARIA events.
Yes. So for the gentlemen, come to ARIA. You're gonna meet lots of wonderful, powerful women, and they're not all Asian. Let me tell you. I mean, we're very diversified. Okay, let me just make that clear. But definitely so. Thank you, Lenny.
Thanks, Carmon.
And I don't dance.
I was joking, by the way.
I don't dance. That's the other thing. I do not dance salsa, even though I was born in Nicaragua.
So I've had the pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She can get mad at you in multiple languages. So I've had the pleasure of working with Carmon and also with Vicky. Dynamic, very powerful, strong women. I have a lot of respect for the both of them. So Nikki, the quiet giant, tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing.
Hi Lenny, thank you very much. Hello everyone. It's really interesting to hear someone say I'm quiet, because all my life I was known as the one who talked too much. You know, I was always the girl in trouble in school for just talking too much. I just talked too much, and I got in trouble all the way through college and even at work. So when the ladies were talking about their experiences at work, imagine being a young lawyer and working in a company where you were secretary to the board, which was like a management, very, very high role at 28, and all being older men. And, you know, I think they automatically assumed I was their toy. You know, it was one hit after the other, one hit after the other. And, you know, you go to court and the judge hits on you, and you go to a meeting and the client hits on you because you're young, you're a woman, you're in an industry that you should not be in. So you were probably placed there for our pleasure. That was in Nigeria. And I came to the US, and whenever I do something, I just go all the way because I hate to be second. So I went into the mortgage industry, became a mortgage broker, and for 2 years I took every certification exam. I took everything: DE underwriting, processing, FHA, VA, Fannie, Freddie, commercial lending. I got my certified mortgage consultant certification, which was the highest in the industry at that time. And then I went and I set up my own company. And then I went to a meeting of the association, and it was all men, and you know, of a certain age and a certain persuasion, and the suits and the Lamborghinis parked outside, and I crept in because, you know, I was this small mortgage broker on the south side of Chicago, which I'm very proud of, don't get me wrong. But, you know, I walked in, they all turned around, they looked at me, and they all turned back because they assumed I walked into the wrong room. So I walked through, and you know, you see by designation, and I'm passing the first one, and the second one, and the third one, and the room goes quiet. And I finally make it up to the stage, and my name was spelled with an M, because they assumed I had to be a guy, and my name had to be Mike, because my name is spelled Nike. So I sit down, and the hall is quiet, and they look at me, and then we're all asked to introduce ourselves. But the beauty of being a woman and educating yourself, which is what I tell every woman I talk to when I speak, I do a lot of speaking, is you you have to know your stuff. You have to know your stuff. I start talking, 30 seconds, everyone in the room is clear that where I'm sitting is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So that's my story about that. So who am I? I'm a lawyer. I have certifications and everything. Every time I'm bored, I take a class. So I hold a master's degree in law. I hold a bachelor's in finance. I hold multiple certifications. Islamic finance. I'm a certified Islamic finance expert, which means 3 years of that. And I do all that, not necessarily because of the money, but because I believe that when you're speaking about anything, I should be able to say something that makes sense to it. So, about 22 years in the industry. I've owned my own company about 18 years. And about 7 years ago, I started really feeling uncomfortable because I really felt there has to be more. I'm a mortgage broker. I'm helping people day to day. Yes, people are buying houses. First of all, we're having problems with that in the state of Illinois because if you don't know, the state passed the home buyer grant program is shut out from mortgage brokers. I'm on the south side of Chicago. My clients need the grant. I can't access the grant because I'm a broker. That's the only reason I cannot access the grant for my clients. So 80% of my business goes to those clients, those companies that can. But anyway, I felt I really needed to do something more. So I set up a company and I said, I want to do consulting. I want to help my clients understand the value of this home they own. But I found my niche, not in the US, but in Nigeria, which is where I'm from historically. And I started going back and training the industry because for those of you who don't know, Africa does not have a credit system. We've always done everything cash. You want to own a home, you build brick by brick until 15 years and you're done and then you own your home. And now there's credit coming in. So I wanted to help, I wanted to be there to assist, to train the industry, to do something. And I went there a few times and then the government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, headhunted me for a role, which I actually do now, as well as what I do here. So what we're doing in Nigeria is developing the Nigeria Housing Finance Program, and I am the specialist consultant to that. What we're doing is expanding home ownership. Funny thing happened. I started looking into this, and I realized a huge difference between Nigeria and Chicago. My clientele in Chicago, easily 90% women. Easily. Women in Chicago start the home buying process. The man follows. They call for their husband and say, we want to buy a house. My husband is the one on the loan. His name is XYZ. In Nigeria, total opposite. Women are not really expected to be visible in home ownership. In some cultures, women cannot own property in their own name. Worse still, in Nigeria, where there's a divorce, the woman gets kicked out of the house with her children. And when statistics show 5.1 children per woman, you're kicking out 7 people each time that happens. When a man dies, the family has the right to kick the woman out because the home belongs to the family. So I started getting really upset about that, and now in July, I was privileged to launch a non-profit organization called Women in the Housing Sector Initiative. We launched July 18th, over 400 people in attendance. It was fantastic. And what are our platforms? 2 platforms: empowering women, empowering our future. We want to make sure that women who go into traditionally male industries like the build construction industry do not get subjected to the kind of things that we got subjected to when we were young and coming in. Second is housing women, housing our future, which is my passion right now. Educating women. Women are not educated in Nigeria about home ownership beyond the kitchen. So we want to help women understand how to become a homeowner, the economic privileges of home ownership. Women in Nigeria make up 80% of the informal economy, which is what drives the nation, but only 14% of the formal sector. Women in Nigeria are 43%, but only 11% are in leadership roles in organizations, even far less, probably 4% in board roles. So this is I believe that this is my future. I believe that this is my purpose right now. That's why I'm here, because I found the NAWRB online and I said, that looks interesting. And you know, I've learned not to put myself out too far because of some things that I've experienced in my industry. So I'm very cautious. I really try not to ask for too much. So I called, and then Desiree called me personally, and I was like, who does that? She has all these PAs and all this stuff, and she calls me personally. You know? And I was shocked, and I was like, okay, what does she want from me? You know? And so you Google me, I'm all over the internet, and you know, I felt, okay, maybe she's seen my name and she wants the one black woman on her thing. And then I look and there's all these black women, and I'm like, okay, it's not that. so now what would it be, you know? But she kind of really like talked to me, and I'm not used to that. I don't do too much socializing. I don't go to too many conventions and things like that because I just, you know, I'm just exhausted. By women, I'm sorry, you know, by some women. Let me say that. But this really talked to me. Then I looked on her website and I followed what she was trying to do, and I said, my God, this is what I'm trying to do in Nigeria. So I immediately called, and you know, that whole thing started. This is my first time coming here, and I really would love some guidance. I really feel like I'm 53 years old, I'm throwing myself out there into this brand new thing, and I absolutely love the fact that women here are talking about being strategic partners and assisting each other, because I need all the help I can get. So let me put that out there right now.
We will certainly try to get that to you, Nikki. So clearly, we are fortunate enough to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of passion up here. So with that, let's go ahead and test the brain power. Let's see if you guys have some answers on this here. We're talking about women buyers and how to serve them. So do you feel as though there are specific needs that women buyers have that agents need to be aware of? And if so, what are they? Nelly, we'll start with you.
Well, I want to start first with some statistics. And I don't know if you guys follow statistics, but I do. So because they're important, whether you are a real estate broker or not, to understand the power of women purchasing overall. So one of the things that I found is that women power overall is 20 trillion with the T, $1 trillion worldwide. 5 to 50 trillion US. That's women just by itself, just us, purchasing power. And we control 60% of the purchasing power all over. So with that said, I think it's important, obviously, whether you are in any industry, but in real estate, it's
women. We have to stop and hear each other. Hear the cry from the heart of your buyer. Hear their thought and understand what they're saying. And don't allow yourself to be tricked into saying, okay, I've heard everything you've said, but since your husband is signing my check, you know, I need to go get the final approval from him. One last thing that I'm going to say about this, because again, I always go back to my passion, which is what I'm trying to do right now. The richest woman, the richest black woman today is Nigerian. The poverty level in Nigeria is the highest in Africa. So there's something very wrong. And we as women need to start digging deeper into these numbers. I was looking through the paperwork on your statistics, and I saw that you had statistics on every continent but Africa. So I would love to be the one to bring those to you next year, as much as I hate statistics. Thank you.
Okay, one final question for So, and I should also tell you that the side hustle thing, that's not just a Nigerian thing. I can tell you all women in here got a little something on the side in case the fool that they're married with messes up. I already know. Hey, how many of you, raise your hand, I know, see, look, see, it's not just Nigerian, it's universal. Anyway, so my last question to all of you. Can each of you share a story of an experience with or as a home buyer that had an impact on you? I'll give you a few minutes to think about that one. And when you're ready, jump in.
So I had a client here in Chicago, and she was very highly placed, well placed. And I'd done a property for her son, for her daughter, for their family finance person. Her husband passed and she married a new guy. And when she introduced me to the guy, I hate to say that, but I thought to myself, how? She was so well educated, so intelligent and everything, and this guy just didn't seem right for her, but okay, whatever. She refinanced her home, she put him on the title, but he refused to go on the loan. And I said, are you sure you want to give somebody an asset without the liability? And she said, oh, this is a lot of money, whatever. Fast forward 5 years later, the husband calls me, and he wanted to bring somebody to me to refer for a mortgage. And I said, oh, thank you very much. Wow, I didn't think you would do that, but thank you. And he brought this young woman, and the body language was clear to me. And he was going to assist her with the down payment when he didn't have any down payment, when his wife was getting the house. He was going to co-sign for her when he refused to co-sign for his wife. And, I've grown to a stage where I'm not a millionaire by any chance, but I really work with integrity. And I said, I just don't feel comfortable. And then he said to me, well, this is between you and I because I don't want my wife to know. And I said, sir, I'm a married woman. I don't do deals like this. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go to somebody else, and I would love the money, but I can't do this deal. And, he ended up getting her the property, moved out of his house overnight, and his wife literally had a mental breakdown. She was, depressed, on medication, and all of that. And then she came to me. She wanted to sell the house because she didn't want to stay in the house. Well, he wanted half. He wanted half. And I said, when I talk to you as my client, I'm bringing 31 years of legal knowledge. I have a master's degree in the law of taxation. I know what's going to happen. You need to call a lawyer. So we got a lawyer on the case, and at the end of the day, he let go of the house, and he went straight after her 401k. So, this is why women are so dear to my heart. And that happened in the US. Consider in Nigeria. Your husband owns the home, you're on the title as Mrs. Smith. The day he divorces you and marries the next Mrs. Smith, guess who's on the title? It's not you. This is the education that we need to be giving to women. Own your spot. If you work for it, make sure it remains yours. This is what I really think we should focus on for our buyers. This is where we need to be looking, and we need to start targeting the young generation early. so that the mistakes that our mothers made and that we have made in our generation, we can hopefully break that, I call it a yoke. You know, we can hopefully break that yoke. And it doesn't mean they must do it, but just that they have enough knowledge in case they decide to do it. That's all we're talking about. Not knocking the men.
I'm just standing here. I did get a little uncomfortable, a little sweat coming down. No. Carmon, be nice, Carmon. Please.
For me, I don't have a specific situation, but I know that when I started in the business, I started in the mortgage business actually. And one of the things is that I do know that everyone, whether you're Asian, whether you're Latino, whether you're African American, has to have the opportunity to own a home. So at that time, when I started in the mortgage business was when the Hispanic families are starting to look into owning a home, wanting to buy a home. But there were not that many Spanish-speaking loan officers. So at that time, this major bank was looking for loan officers that speak Spanish. So one of my very good friends, I graduated in accounting, and she always called me and say, let's go shopping, let's go here, let's go there. But because they're loan officers or sales rep, they don't need to be at the office, they just go out, right? So as a finally, she convinced me, okay, I went to have an interview, and this is in San Francisco, to have an interview so that I can manage or I can service 5 different branches. These branches were in Chinatown, Market Street, in San Francisco, South San Francisco, which was heavily populated by Hispanic, and Charabel, and stuff. So it was for both. They saw me, I look Chinese, okay, great, you're gonna fit into this Chinatown branch, and in the South San Francisco, because I speak Spanish and all that. But to me I was more going towards the one that needed the most help. And it was the Hispanic community. Because they will come with the whole family, with the brothers and sisters and all that. I will spend like 2-3 hours explaining them the process. With the Chinese or the Asian culture, you don't need to do that. Because they already know about numbers. They know what they want, they already research. So to me, what have moved me is that I would go to where I see that there is a lack of education or help out there. And that was that was basically what made me change in a sense of wanting to do that even more. So I kind of like transitioned little by little into the Asian American, because everybody thinks that all Asian American Pacific Islanders are rich. There is a huge percentage of us that are also working very hard to buy their home. They first buy it with their brothers and sisters and all that. It's the same story. So then that kind of like called my attention in a sense where not only I can help locally, but nationally and now internationally. And with all these years that I've been, and of course the people that you meet, I mean, they are so willing to share all their information to you just by being part of NARW or part of NAWRB or NAWRB or even, of course, ARIA, right? So last year when they decided to create this the for-profit side of ARIA, because we need to sustain the ARIA National. We're a non-profit organization, just like NAWRB and NAWRB. So what they wanted to do is, because all our members were coming in to see how they can expand their business, how can they help more homeowners or future homeowners and all that. Then they created the ARIA Global, the for-profit side, so that we can go out and educate even more. We have launched this year and last year actually, and this is going a little bit outside. of the topic, if it's okay. Last year, some of our members, by using our global platform, which is an online marketing platform, they were able to make, some of our members were able to make $14,000 in addition to the regular business. Another member made about $70,000 to $100,000, and we have one member that made over $270,000. So that gives me kind of pride that we're able to create this benefit for our members. Not only talking about Greece, I mean, we're talking about Greece, we have done a lot of train missions because we want to bring this to you where you can go with a group of like-minded professionals that wants to help out there, how you can expand your business and also how you can help that person to have a second home, all right? Or to basically be a realtor now without any limitations. So you're talking about Nigeria, perfect. We're talking about all the Asian countries. We're going to Bali. I just came back from Sri Lanka. We're going to go to Bahamas and Greece again and again. Hopefully, Desiree, you are going to come and join us to go there.
I think I get a free trip. What do you think, right?
Sure, if you bring 10 people with you, yes. But anyways, it's all about your passion that you want to help that person that you see in front of you to own their first home, then their second home, then they invest in property and build their legacy like that. So to me, it's...
Thanks. So Nelly, an experience that either personally or professionally that had an impact on you?
Well, for me, it will be when I first started. But before I go into that, I want to ask really quickly to Carmon. As an organization and a member of the International Board for Houston Association of Realtors, we brought Aria to Houston and to be partners with them, and it's been an amazing partnership. We just this year finished the first ever China-US summit, and we had investors from China coming in, and if you're not paying attention to those investors, you better be. Any international investors. So they're just a wonderful organization to really get yourself involved with. But to answer the question, and I'm probably running out of time here, but really quickly, probably almost one of my very first clients I ever had when I first started doing real estate was this couple from New York, and both husband and wife were attorneys. Very young attorneys. I was very young, just started in the field of real estate. I told you I was coming from project management and a completely different field. So they come in and they wanted to purchase, and they're attorneys. They're attorneys in New York, not in Texas. So we get to the process, and she was African American. She's one of my best friends. One of my best clients ever, and I've been in the industry right now for 16 years. So when they first started, we looked at a property, put an offer, made an offer on this property, residential, and so we went through the contract, and then I sent the contract to them. Texas has what we call promulgated offers and contracts that we use as real estate license professionals. I'm sure a lot of you guys have to. But she came back and she brought back that contract, and it was like everything that she thought was wrong with the contract, she went over that, right? And I thought, oh Lord, what am I doing here? There's no way I can even, I went back to her and said, that's not how we do things here. Whether we use this contract or we're just gonna have to use the brand new contract from you. Well, both my husband and I are lawyers in New York. So I literally sat down with them and I just explained to them, okay, let me just go over, again, education, education, education. Even though they're still attorneys, I sat down with them and said, let me tell you how the contract works, how the offer works. So after that, there was no doubt in their mind that I knew my stuff, and they trusted me. And so they have, from there on, not only did they purchase their first home in Texas, their homestead, but from there we started purchasing investment properties, to the point that because she knows the law, and this is something you guys probably need to also understand, very clever lady. She, very smart. So they purchased the first property, homestead. And a couple of years after that, 2 years after that or so, they decided that they wanted to start investing in real estate. Well, guess what? She felt like, well, I don't want to start doing 30% for a second, for investment property. I've been in my homestead long enough. So she convinced the husband, which is crazy though, but she convinced the husband to move from a property that had a pool, almost 4,000 square feet, absolutely gorgeous with the kids, to a property that was less than 2,000 square feet. A true investment property, just so they can use their the property they were living in as an investment property, rent that out, live in the other one for a couple of years. And long story short, she did that a couple of times. Well, guess what? Right now, she has quite a few properties on her portfolio. Again, the power of purchasing women that knows what they're doing, and not only that, but knows how to influence the husband. I thought they were going to get divorced at that time when the husband was like, are you kidding me? But that's just something that have always been in, and she's still, until this day, one of my best clients and referrals.
Well, I want to thank you all for your input, your commentary this afternoon. It has been very, very insightful. Let's give them all a round of applause. I just wanted to, yes.
If anyone wants this, I have Morel over there that you can hand them out if you'd like to take a copy of this.
Okay, thanks, Carmon. One last statement here is I wanted to leave you with same thoughts that I leave with my folks all the time. Clearly, based on everything that you've heard, everything that you've heard throughout this entire event, one thought, make sure that at all times you dare to dream with your eyes open. Dream with your eyes open. That's extremely important. Reason being is because if you can't see it, you can't be it. Okay, and secondly, and this one takes a little bit more patience and a little bit more faith, because at times, your faith will be tested, and I think everyone in this room knows that. And that is simply love thy neighbor, even when you know your neighbor doesn't love you. Okay, there are going to be times and places that we're not necessarily welcome, but you have to find the power within to endure, and you have to keep moving forward. Thank you for your time. Enjoyed it.